With the 2025 season starting, we have a new epic monster, Atakhan. This monster can appear in two different forms. But how easy are they to take? What do you get for taking them? And are they even worth taking? Firstly, yes, Atakhan is certainly worth taking. The way he works is at 14 minutes, a pit will spawn in either the top lane or bot lane river entrance depending on which side has had the most action. Then at 20 minutes, you get one of his two forms. In higher action games, you get Ruinous, and in lower, you get Voracious. Starting with Ruinous, I'd argue he's the slightly easier one to kill and possibly the stronger buff of the two. When you start fighting him, he will attack you twice and then go into his orb attack where he fires 4 orbs in a line. You want to dodge these as it deals a good amount of damage. He will then attack once into a spinning attack which starts wide and then comes in. Ranged champions will want to move forward or back to avoid this, but champions in melee distance will just avoid this. From here, the pattern is simple, where he'll attack once into the orb attack and then attack 5 times into the spinning attack over and over again. When he dies, he grants 2 buffs. Firstly, he grants you 6 blood petals and spawns a field of blood roses. Some of these are large, granting 3 petals, and some small, granting 1. If you take all of these, you will end up with 30 blood petals. Each of these grants your entire team a small amount of adaptive force and experience. But having 30 in one go gives your team a massive amount of both experience and instant combat stats. He also gives you a permanent buff where all the epic monster rewards are increased by 25%, making taking these big objectives even stronger. Over to Voracious, we have the same combat pattern. He starts with 2 attacks into firing off the 4 orbs. From here, he attacks once into his circle attack. This is one of the biggest differences between the two forms. This circle attack deals constant damage to anyone nearby him. Ranged champions can more or less ignore this attack, but melee champions need to get out of it ASAP, and no one wants to be standing in this. From here, he follows the same pattern as Ruinous. So he'll attack once into the orb attack and then he'll attack 5 times into the circle attack over and over again until he's dead. When he dies, you're granted a buff where if you die in the next 2.5 minutes, instead of dying, you'll withdraw back to your fountain. This means the next fight you take will have incredibly low stakes for you. However, when this happens, the champion that killed you instead gets 100 gold and a blood petal for their team. In addition, the permanent buff for taking him is when you get a takedown, you gain 40 bonus gold for the rest of the game. Now let's have a look at warding for this objective. Starting with the bot side, if you're on blue side, a control ward in your tri brush is always good practice. A ward in the enemy's tri is also pretty essential, and then you can push further for a deep ward too in any of these places. In addition, a ward here or here for river control will keep you very safe. This objective's a little easier for red side, as you always want to have a control in your own tri still, and then ward your opponent's tri and get a ward down here or here in the river. For top side, if you're on blue side, a ward in your opponent's tri is essential, and then just get a ward in the river so you can see anyone approaching. And of course you can go for deeper wards here or here. And if you're on the red side, getting a ward in their jungle entrances is key. So a ward here is always good, and then just throw a ward in the river near the other entrance for maximum control over the objective.